What if I told you the most powerful way to attract a woman has nothing to do with your looks, money, or status? I discovered this secret after watching countless men fail with women despite having everything society says they should have. One night, my friend, a guy who drives a luxury car and has the physique of a fitness model, texted me devastated after another woman ghosted him. That's when I realized most men are missing the same crucial element that women desperately want but will never directly ask for. This hidden desire is so simple yet so rare that mastering it instantly puts you in the top 1% of men. Let me show you the 4 things that make women feel deeply connected to you, things they wish you knew but will never tell you. Number 1. Truly listen to them, not just being physically present, but listening with full attention. Show interest in what they're saying and ask questions. Let me tell you something that might shock you. The most attractive thing you can do around a woman isn't showing off your car or your muscles. It's not even making her laugh. It's something far simpler, yet somehow much harder for most men to master. Actually listening to her. I'm not talking about that thing you do where you nod your head while secretly thinking about work or sports or whatever else is on your mind. Women can sense that from a mile away. I'm talking about genuine, active listening that makes her feel like the most important person in the room. When she's speaking, put down your phone. Look into her eyes. Watch how her face changes as she tells her story. Notice the excitement in her voice when she talks about things she loves. This isn't just polite, it's powerful. Most men make the mistake of half listening, waiting for their turn to speak, thinking about what impressive thing they'll say next. But here's the truth. Nothing you can say is more impressive than showing her that her words matter to you. Ask follow-up questions that show you're tracking the conversation. How did that make you feel? What happened next? What was going through your mind at that moment? These questions demonstrate that you're not just hearing words, you're connecting with the story she's sharing. Remember details from previous conversations. When she mentions her big presentation at work, text her that morning wishing her luck. When she tells you about her favorite book, actually look it up later. These small gestures speak volumes. The secret most men never realize is that listening creates intimacy faster than almost anything else. When you truly listen, you're telling her, "You are fascinating to me, your thoughts matter, your feelings are valid." In a world where most people are distracted, being fully present is rare and extremely attractive. Notice how her shoulders relax when she realizes you're actually paying attention. Watch how she opens up more when she feels heard. She'll start sharing deeper thoughts, showing her true self, a privilege many men never earn. Women spend their lives being interrupted, talked over, or dismissed. When you break that pattern by listening intently, you immediately stand out from every other man she's met. You become the exception, the one who values her mind as much as her appearance. Don't just listen to respond, listen to understand. There's a massive difference, and she can feel it. When she's upset, resist the urge to immediately offer solutions. Sometimes she doesn't want her problems fixed. She wants to know that her feelings are understood. Let me tell you about my friend Mike. He was always the guy with the quick comeback, the loud laugh, the center of attention. But he couldn't figure out why his relationships never lasted beyond a few months. One day, after another breakup, his ex told him something that changed everything. "You never really hear me." Not listen to her, hear her. That distinction hit him hard. So Mike decided to experiment. On his next date, he made a conscious effort to put his phone away, maintain eye contact, and focus entirely on what his date was saying. He asked thoughtful questions. He remembered details. He didn't interrupt. By the end of the night, she told him something that stunned him. I feel like I've known you for years. That's the power of truly listening. Think about the last time someone really listened to you. Not just heard your words, but actually absorbed what you were saying, showed genuine interest, and made you feel valued. Pretty rare, right? That's exactly how most women feel in their daily interactions with men. When you break that pattern, you become unforgettable. The human brain is wired to respond to attention. When you give someone your undivided focus, it triggers a release of dopamine in their brain, the same chemical associated with pleasure and reward. You're literally making her feel good on a neurochemical level just by paying attention. No pickup line or expensive dinner can compete with that. There's an art to this kind of listening that most men never master. It involves paying attention not just to her words, but to the emotions behind them. Watch her body language. Notice when her voice changes pitch or when she uses certain phrases repeatedly. These are clues to what really matters to her, what moves her, what she values most. A woman once told me that she knew her husband was the one within the first hour of their first date. Not because he was particularly handsome or wealthy, but because when she spoke about her passion for teaching, he asked questions that showed he was genuinely curious about her experience. He wanted to understand her world. 7 years later, she says that quality is still what she loves most about him. Most men underestimate how exhausting it is for women to constantly feel unheard. At work, in social settings, even in their own families, women often have to fight to get a word in edgewise. When you create a space where she feels completely heard, you're offering her something precious and rare, the freedom to express herself without struggle. And here's another thing most guys miss. When you truly listen to a woman, you gain valuable information. You learn about her desires, her boundaries, her triggers, her pleasures. You discover the map to her heart and mind. This isn't manipulation, it's understanding. It's the foundation of genuine connection. Master this skill and watch how your relationships transform. A woman who feels heard feels connected. A woman who feels connected feels attracted. It's that simple, and yet so few men ever truly get it. So the next time she's talking, be all there. Put everything else aside. Listen like it's the most important information you'll ever receive. Because when it comes to building genuine connection with the woman you care about, it absolutely is. And remember, this isn't a technique to use just when you want something. Make this a habit in every interaction. The woman picking up coffee behind you in line, your colleague sharing an idea at work, your sister talking about her day. Practice active listening constantly. By the time you're with someone you're romantically interested in, it will be second nature. True listening is a form of respect. It says, I value you enough to give you my most precious resource, my undivided attention. In a world of endless distractions and quick dopamine hits from screens, offering someone your complete focus is nothing short of revolutionary. Try this experiment. The next time you're with a woman you care about, mentally commit to making her feel thoroughly heard. Watch what happens to her energy, to her openness, to the depth of your conversation. The results might surprise you. She may share things she's never told anyone else. She might look at you differently. The connection between you will almost certainly deepen. This is the secret hiding in plain sight, the thing women desperately want but will never explicitly ask for. Because asking someone to truly listen to you shouldn't be necessary. But sadly, in today's world, it often is. Be the exception. Be the man who listens. It's a simple change with profound results. Number 2, notice the little things. When they get a new hairstyle or wear a new outfit, notice it and compliment them. These small details matter a lot to them. Have you ever wondered why some men seem to effortlessly maintain deep, passionate relationships while others struggle to keep a woman's interest beyond a few dates. It's rarely about grand gestures or expensive gifts. The real secret lies in something so seemingly insignificant that most men completely overlook it: noticing the little things. When a woman changes her hairstyle, even subtly, it's rarely an accident or mere convenience. That slight trim, those highlights, or that completely new cut represents hours of contemplation, countless Instagram saves, nervous consultation with her stylist, and genuine courage to make a change. And yet, most men won't even register the difference. Let me tell you what happens when a woman puts effort into her appearance and no one notices. There's this invisible deflation, this quiet disappointment that she would never verbalize because it would sound vain or needy. But make no mistake, it matters deeply. Women communicate through details. They speak a language of small changes and subtle shifts that most men have never learned to interpret. When she wears those earrings you once complimented, it's not random. When she puts on that specific perfume for date night, there's intention behind it. She remembers exactly what you've responded positively to in the past, and she's telling you something without saying a word. Think about the last time someone noticed something specific about you. Maybe a colleague mentioned that your presentation skills had improved, or a friend caught a subtle reference you made. Remember how good that felt? How seen you felt? That's precisely what happens when you acknowledge the little things about her. I know a man who can instantly tell when his wife uses a new eyeshadow palette or changes her nail color. She told me once that this simple awareness makes her feel more loved than the expensive anniversary gifts he buys. Why? Because his attention to detail proves he's actually looking at her, really seeing her, in a world where most people are too distracted to truly observe anything. Here's what most men don't understand. When a woman spends 45 minutes on her makeup before seeing you, she's not doing it solely for vanity. She's creating art with herself as the canvas, and like any artist, she craves acknowledgement of her work. Not general platitudes like, "You look nice," but specific recognition. "That winged eyeliner looks amazing on you," or "The way you've done your hair really brings out your eyes." The science backs this up. Studies in relationship psychology have shown that partners who regularly notice and comment positively on changes in their significant other's appearance report higher relationship satisfaction. It's not shallow, it's connection. It's the difference between being looked at and being seen. Women often test this awareness. She might wear a new necklace or style her hair differently just to see if you'll notice. And when you don't, she doesn't throw a tantrum or even mention it. She files it away as data, evidence that perhaps you're not paying close attention. Enough of these small disappointments can create emotional distance you might never understand the source of. I had a client once, a brilliant executive who couldn't figure out why his relationships kept failing. During our sessions, his phone would light up with texts from the woman he was dating, and I noticed something he didn't. She was constantly sending him photos of herself in different outfits at different locations. She was inviting him to notice things about her, to comment specifically on her choices, to engage with the details of her self-expression. His generic, looking good responses were slowly killing her interest. Most men have been socialized to believe that noticing a woman's appearance too much is somehow disrespectful or shallow. But there's a profound difference between objectifying someone and honoring their self-expression. When you compliment the specific earrings she chose or notice she's wearing a color she rarely wears, you're not reducing her to her appearance. You're acknowledging her agency, her taste, her choices. Think about the difference between these two compliments. "You look hot" versus "That deep blue really brings out the color of your eyes. I've never noticed that gold fleck in them before." The first might be appreciated but feels generic. The second demonstrates that you're actually paying attention to what makes her uniquely her. Women are constantly bombarded with messages about how they should look, what they should wear, how they should present themselves. When the man they care about notices the specific choices they make within that overwhelming context, it creates a powerful intimacy. You're essentially saying, "I see you beyond the noise of society's expectations. I see the choices you're making to express yourself." There's a fascinating evolutionary psychology angle to this as well. Throughout human history, attention to detail has been a valuable survival trait. The ability to notice subtle changes in the environment could mean the difference between life and death. When you demonstrate this keen observational ability in relation to her, you're subconsciously signaling that you possess this valuable trait and that you're choosing to focus it on her. The most beautiful part about mastering this skill is how it compounds over time. The woman in your life will begin to feel increasingly secure, sharing more aspects of herself with you. She'll experiment more with her appearance, knowing her efforts won't go unnoticed. She'll feel safe revealing the quirks and preferences that make her uniquely herself. And here's where it gets truly powerful. This attentiveness naturally extends beyond physical appearance. The man who notices his girlfriend's new earrings today is the same man who will remember how she takes her coffee tomorrow, who will catch the slight change in her tone that indicates she's had a rough day, who will remember the name of the childhood teacher she mentioned once in passing. This kind of attention creates a feedback loop of intimacy. The more you notice, the more she shares. The more she shares, the more there is to notice. It's the foundation of the deep knowing that separates fulfilling relationships from superficial connections. Try this experiment. For 1 week, make a conscious effort to notice 3 specific details about her appearance each time you see her. Not just the obvious changes, but the subtle choices, the specific way she's lined her eyes, the particular jewelry she's selected, the shoes she's paired with that outfit. Comment on at least one, with genuine appreciation for the choice she's made. Watch what happens, not just her reaction in the moment, but the shift in energy between you over time. Notice how she begins to share more of herself, how she seems more relaxed in your presence, how the connection between you deepens in ways that are hard to articulate, but impossible not to feel. This isn't manipulation or a technique to get something from her. It's about developing the capacity to truly see another human being, to honor their self-expression, to validate their efforts, to witness the ever-evolving person they are choosing to be. And isn't that what we all ultimately want? Not just to be looked at, but to be seen. The truth is, women will rarely tell you directly how much these observations matter. It would feel too vulnerable, too easily dismissed as vanity. But now you know the secret language, the unspoken dialogue happening beneath the surface. And in that knowing lies the potential for a connection deeper than most men will ever experience. So the next time she walks into the room, really look at her. Not just a general sweep, but with the attentiveness of someone truly privileged to witness her particular kind of beauty, because that's exactly what you are. Number 3, offer support, not solutions. When they talk about problems, acknowledge their feelings first instead of immediately trying to provide solutions. Often, they just want to be heard, not fixed. Here's what men get wrong almost every single time. When a woman opens up about a problem, we immediately put on our problem solver hat. It's hardwired into our DNA. We think we're being helpful. We think we're showing value. But what we're actually doing is missing the point entirely. Let me paint this scene for you. She comes home after a rough day at work, sits down beside you, and starts telling you about how her colleague took credit for her idea in the meeting. Your immediate instinct? Jump in with advice. You should email your boss directly, or next time, speak up louder in the meeting. Sound familiar? But here's what's really happening in that moment. She's not coming to you because she can't figure out what to do. She's coming to you because she needs emotional support before she can even think about solutions. When you rush to fix her problem, you're unintentionally sending the message that her feelings aren't valid or important enough to acknowledge. Think about it this way. When you've had a terrible day, sometimes you just want someone to say, "That sounds awful. I'm sorry you're dealing with this." Not, "Well, here's how you should have handled it." The need to feel understood before moving to solutions isn't a woman thing, it's a human thing. But men are often socialized to suppress emotions and jump straight to problem solving. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years, my girlfriend would come to me with issues, and I'd immediately start brainstorming solutions. I thought I was being helpful, but she would often get frustrated or shut down entirely. It took me embarrassingly long to realize that by jumping straight to solutions, I was accidentally invalidating her feelings. The breakthrough came when I started simply saying, "That sounds really frustrating. Do you want to tell me more about it?" Or, "I can see why you'd be upset about that." The difference in her response was immediate and dramatic. Her body language would relax. She'd open up more. Our conversations became deeper and more meaningful. What women want in these moments is emotional resonance. The feeling that you understand and accept their emotional reality. It's about creating a safe space where they can process their feelings before moving on to solutions. Think of it as emotional first aid before the practical treatment. Women's brains are actually wired for more connections between emotional centers and verbal centers. This means when something upsetting happens, talking through those emotions is often part of their processing. When you interrupt this process with immediate solutions, you're short-circuiting a necessary emotional release. This doesn't mean solutions aren't welcome eventually, but timing matters. Research shows that the human brain literally cannot absorb constructive advice or problem solving until the emotional response to a situation has been acknowledged and processed. By acknowledging feelings first, you're actually making your eventual advice more effective. A psychiatrist friend once told me something that changed my approach forever. He said, "Men need to understand that venting isn't complaining. It's emotional processing out loud. Women aren't looking for you to fix their emotions. They're looking for you to witness them." That simple shift in perspective transformed my relationships. Here's a technique that works wonders. Reflect back what you hear before offering any advice. So you're feeling overlooked at work because your colleague took credit for your idea, and that feels especially unfair because you put so much effort into that project. This simple reflection shows you're truly listening and understanding the emotional components of the situation. There's actually tremendous power in simply asking, "Do you want my advice on this, or do you just need me to listen?" This one question has saved me from countless missteps. It puts the choice in her hands and shows that you respect her enough to follow her lead. 9 times out of 10, after feeling fully heard, she'll actually ask for your input. Men are often afraid that if they don't offer solutions, they're not being helpful. But consider this: emotional support is practical help. By creating a space where she can fully express and process her emotions, you're helping her reach a state where she can think more clearly about solutions herself. You're not being passive, you're actively facilitating emotional processing. Another mistake men make is thinking that acknowledging emotions means agreeing with everything she says. It doesn't. You can validate someone's feelings without necessarily validating their conclusions. "I can see why you'd feel that way" doesn't mean you're right about everything. A woman I interviewed for research on this topic told me something profound. She said, "When men immediately jump to solutions, it often feels like they're saying, 'Your feelings are a problem to be fixed,' rather than a valid experience to be shared." That insight stopped me in my tracks. No one wants their emotions treated like a problem. Think about how this plays out in friendships between women. They often spend time acknowledging each other's experiences and emotions before ever moving to advice. That sounds so frustrating. I would have been upset too. This emotional mirroring creates connection and trust. It makes the other person feel seen and understood. There's a neurological reason this matters too. When someone feels emotionally supported, their body releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This literally creates a physiological sense of connection between you. When you jump straight to solutions, you miss this opportunity for chemical bonding. I've learned to watch for the subtle cues that tell me what she needs in that moment. If she's using emotional language and talking about how something made her feel, she's likely looking for emotional support first. If she explicitly asks, "What should I do?" then she's opened the door for solutions. The irony is that men often need this same emotional validation, but we've been conditioned not to ask for it. We're taught to want immediate solutions too. But I've noticed something interesting. When I allow space for my own emotions to be acknowledged before rushing to fix things, I make better decisions. The same is true for the women in our lives. One of the most powerful phrases you can use is, "That makes sense to me." Not "you're right" or "I agree," but simply acknowledging that her emotional response is understandable given the situation. This small validation often causes visible relief. Her shoulders relax, her breathing changes. You've created safety. It's worth noting that this isn't about treating women as fragile or emotional. It's about respecting the natural human need to process emotions before problem solving. Men who master this skill find that their advice, when finally offered, is received much more openly because they've established trust and understanding first. A relationship therapist I spoke with calls this holding emotional space, the ability to be present with someone's feelings without trying to change them. It's a skill that requires patience and practice, especially for men who have been socialized to be fixers. But it's a skill that transforms relationships. So the next time she comes to you with a problem, resist the urge to immediately solve it. Instead, lean in, make eye contact, and say, "Tell me more about that." Watch her face as she realizes you're truly there to understand, not just to fix. That moment of connection is worth more than 1,000 solutions. This simple change, offering support before solutions, might seem small, but its impact is profound. It creates deeper intimacy, builds trust, and ultimately makes your relationship stronger. And here's the secret benefit. When you become the person she can trust with her unfiltered emotions, you become irreplaceable in her life. Number 4. Take initiative. Help with household chores without waiting to be asked. This shows that you're thoughtful and can anticipate their needs. Let me tell you about the most powerful move you can make in a relationship that most men completely miss. It's not about grand romantic gestures. It's not about expensive gifts. It's about something far simpler, yet infinitely more meaningful. Taking initiative with the everyday stuff without being asked. I'm talking about loading the dishwasher before she mentions it's full, noticing the laundry basket is overflowing and just handling it, seeing that the trash needs to go out and taking it without being reminded. These seemingly small actions speak volumes about who you are as a partner. There's a phenomenon that researchers call mental load or invisible labor. It's the constant, never-ending mental inventory of what needs to be done in a household. Most women in relationships carry this burden silently. They're not just doing physical tasks, they're the project managers of daily life, constantly tracking what needs attention. When you wait to be asked to help with household chores, you're essentially saying, "I'm fine with you carrying the entire mental load." You're making her responsible not just for her tasks, but for managing your contribution too. It's like having an employee who only works when directly supervised. Think about how exhausting that is. Imagine if at your job, your coworker only did their part of a project when you specifically asked them to do each individual task. You'd be constantly monitoring their work on top of doing your own. That's what happens when you wait to be told what chores need doing. A woman once described to me the moment she knew her relationship was different from her previous ones. She came home after a long day, dreading the dirty kitchen she'd left that morning, only to find it spotlessly clean. Her partner had noticed the dishes and simply handled it, without expectation of praise or reward. She told me she actually cried, not because clean dishes are that emotional, but because the mental relief was so profound. This is about more than just dividing household labor fairly, though that matters too. It's about demonstrating emotional intelligence. When you take initiative, you're saying, I notice things that need to be done. I can anticipate needs. I'm paying attention. These qualities are incredibly attractive because they show you're emotionally invested in creating a shared life, not just occupying the same space. There's actually fascinating research on this. Studies show that couples who share household responsibilities have better sex lives. It's not because folding laundry is sexy, it's because equal partnership creates an atmosphere of mutual respect and appreciation that naturally leads to more intimacy. Here's what most men don't understand. When you wait to be asked to do chores, you're creating what psychologists call a maternal dynamic. You're putting her in the position of being your manager, or worse, your mother. Nothing kills romantic attraction faster than feeling like you're parenting your partner. Think about the difference between these two scenarios. In one, she has to say, "Can you please take out the trash? It's overflowing." In the other, she comes home to find you've already noticed the full bin and dealt with it. In the first scenario, you helped, but she had to carry the mental burden. In the second, you relieved her of both the task and the mental load of having to monitor and assign it. I remember talking to a friend who was frustrated about her marriage. She said, "He'll do anything I ask him to do. He never complains, but why do I always have to be the one asking?" This man thought he was being helpful by being willing to do chores when requested. What he didn't realize was that always waiting to be directed was creating resentment. Taking initiative also demonstrates a crucial understanding that this shared space belongs to both of you. When you act like a visitor waiting for instructions in your own home, you're signaling that you see the domestic sphere as primarily her territory, where you occasionally help out. True partnership means recognizing that maintaining your shared home is equally your responsibility. There's an art to this that goes beyond just doing random chores. It's about developing awareness of what needs to be done and creating systems that work for both of you. Maybe you're not great at noticing certain things. That's okay. Talk about it. Say, "I want to take more initiative around the house. Which areas would be most helpful for me to focus on?" The goal is to move from a mindset of helping her with chores to taking full ownership of my share of our home. Notice the difference in language. One positions you as an assistant, the other as an equal partner. I know men who proudly say, "I help my wife with the housework," but framing it as helping implies that it's primarily her responsibility that you're assisting with. A better framing is, "We both maintain our home in different ways." Another critical aspect of this is understanding the value of anticipation. There's a world of difference between doing a task before it becomes a problem and doing it after it's already caused stress. Emptying the dishwasher before it's completely full shows foresight. Waiting until there are no clean dishes left shows reactivity. This anticipatory thinking extends beyond chores to other areas of relationship maintenance. noticing that she's had a particularly stressful week and preemptively handling dinner plans, seeing that the car is running low on gas and filling it up before she needs to use it, remembering that the kids need supplies for a school project and picking them up without being reminded. What's fascinating is how this initiative-taking becomes cyclical in healthy relationships. When both partners are anticipating needs and taking action without prompting, it creates an atmosphere of mutual care that self-reinforces. You both feel seen and supported, which naturally motivates more thoughtful behavior. There's a particularly revealing moment in many relationships that illustrates this principle perfectly. When guests are coming over, who automatically starts straightening up the house? In too many heterosexual relationships, the woman immediately begins preparing the shared space for visitors, while the man continues what he was doing until specifically asked to help. This automatic response reveals deeply ingrained assumptions about whose responsibility the home really is. I've heard men say, "But she's just better at noticing these things," or "She cares more about how the house looks than I do." These statements miss the point entirely. The ability to notice what needs doing isn't an innate female trait. It's a skill developed through practice and attention. And caring about your shared environment isn't optional in a partnership, it's fundamental. The beautiful thing about taking initiative is that it creates a positive feedback loop. When you consistently notice and address needs without being prompted, she feels supported and appreciated. This naturally leads her to do the same for you in areas where you might need support. The relationship becomes more balanced, more respectful, and ultimately more satisfying for both of you. There's also something deeply attractive about competence and responsibility. When you demonstrate that you can manage aspects of your shared life independently, you position yourself as a capable adult partner rather than someone who needs management. This kind of self-sufficiency is powerfully appealing. I've seen relationships transformed when men embrace this principle. One guy told me his relationship was on the rocks, with constant arguments about household responsibilities. When he finally understood the concept of mental load and started taking true initiative, their fighting decreased dramatically. For the first time, he said, she feels like she has a partner, not another dependent. Think about how you feel when someone anticipates your needs. Maybe you're running late for work, and your partner has already made coffee and packed your lunch. That feeling of being seen and cared for is profound. Now imagine creating that feeling regularly through your actions. This isn't about keeping score or dividing chores with mathematical precision. It's about cultivating awareness and taking responsibility. It's about understanding that in a true partnership, both people should be equally invested in creating a functioning, pleasant home environment. So the next time you see something that needs doing around the house, don't wait to be asked. Don't wait for her to notice it first. Take initiative. Clean the bathroom sink without mentioning it. Fold the laundry without expecting praise. Notice the grocery items that are running low and add them to the shopping list. These seemingly small actions communicate something immensely valuable. I see what needs to be done, and I'm doing it because this is my home too. I'm your partner, not your helper. I'm paying attention to our shared life. And here's the incredible thing. This principle extends far beyond household chores. When you develop the habit of noticing needs and taking initiative to meet them, you become more attuned to her emotional needs as well. You notice when she's stressed and could use some quiet time. You pick up on when she's feeling unappreciated and find ways to show gratitude. Taking initiative isn't just about lightening her load, though that matters tremendously. It's about developing the emotional intelligence that makes great partners. It's about becoming the kind of person who notices, who acts, who cares enough to pay attention to the details of your shared existence. Of all the things women want but rarely articulate, This might be the most universally desired. A partner who doesn't need to be managed, who takes ownership of shared responsibilities, who makes life easier rather than more complicated. Be that man and watch how profoundly it transforms your relationship. Before I reveal the fourth secret that will transform your relationships, take 2 seconds to hit that subscribe button and notification bell right now. This channel is dedicated to giving you the real truths about attraction that no one else is talking about. If this video is already changing how you think, imagine what's coming next. I drop new relationship insights every day that most dating coaches don't even know about. And leave a comment below with which of these 4 secrets hit home for you the most. I personally read and respond to comments in the first 24 hours. If you want to go deeper, the link to my free relationship masterclass is in the description. Don't miss it. Thousands of men have already used these principles to create the genuine connections they never thought possible. Subscribe now and join the community of men who actually understand what women truly want.